This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Hey everyone, I'm your host Dani, and I'm the first-time reader going through this series chapter by chapter. As always, there's no spoilers past the chapter we're covering, and that means it's totally safe for first-time readers. I'm joined by my co-host Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's guiding me through this journey. We'd like to thank and acknowledge our executive producers, Brandy and Kirkwood, Sean McGuire, LightBlindedFool, Green Man, Deyvis Ferreira, Margaret, Big C, Bennett Williamson, Hannah Green, Noralia, Geof Searles, Erik Reed, Greysin Ishara, Ashlee Bradley, Laura Lewis, Helena Jacobsen, and Matthew Mendoza. And before we get into things today, we just want to shout out some annual patrons who renewed their pledge for another year with us. And so we are so excited to thank Heather C, Andrea A, TJ Max 2, Elizabeth Deyvis, Avi Tara, Erik Reed, Elizabeth Hansen, Krystal and Jed, Greysin Ishara, and Koala Sedai. And we also really want to thank Sayers and Karina Pepe for becoming our newest patrons. So thank you so much for joining our Patreon team. We're really excited to have your support, and we honestly could not do this without you. In this episode, we're talking about chapter 31 of Towers of Midnight.
Yeah, chapter 31 is Into the Void.
Ugh, this chapter title threw me right off.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one. Before we get into everything,
I want to yell about it.
This is an important thing we got to do first, because we told everyone that we were going to have a very special guest on specifically for this chapter.
Yeah, and we're like, can you guess it?
Right.
Can you figure it out?
Some people it might be obvious for, but in this chapter, we get introduced to the Dusty Wheel and Innkeeper Hatch. So we figured we should invite Innkeeper Hatch from the Dusty Wheel. So Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And by the way, Caitlin, my daughter. So
yeah. Okay. So I was going to ask because there's another name there, and I was pretty sure, but I didn't want to assume.
The serving woman with the nice smile.
What's funny about it is I forgot about it, and it was like many years later. I was reading the chapter again and saw Kate. And I was like, wait a second.
I know that.
That doesn't make, I went back and asked, I think, Brandon, about like, did you purposely make it Kate or whatever, because my daughter's name is Caitlin, is spelled different. And he's like, honestly, I can't remember. I'm like, I'm going with you did, because that would be the weirdest coincidence.
Yeah, because it's Katie.
Yeah.
Kati is the serving woman.
Yeah, and the way you spell Caitlin is,
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Okay, I think we have to rewind for 1 second
Hold
here.
Hold on.
Because, we're getting very excited and ahead of ourselves.
It's a chicken and egg situation.
It is a chicken and egg situation. That's actually what I was going to ask. Was it the Dusty Wheel comes before the Dusty Wheel, or did the Dusty Wheel come before the Dusty Wheel?
Yeah.
Maybe
you can shed some light for all the listeners.
Let us know who you are, how you got involved with the fandom,
why you're in the freaking book, what's happening here.
Right. Yeah. Let's go back. Let's go way back. The Wayback Machine.
The year was
1990. That's true.
1990.
Yeah. Okay.
1990.
Yes,
I was
for him.
I was 15. 1990. Lived out in the suburbs of Chicago. Had really got into reading at that point in my life. Had kind of gone through some of the typical fantasies that you might have read at the time. You know, I was reading like Feist and Eddings and Tolkien, obviously. And I came into the library one day, and the librarian was like, "Hey," because you become friends with the librarian, of course.
Of course, you know them.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah. And they're like, "Hey, Matt, there's a book I think you're gonna love. It's over here on this table." And I was like, "Oh, really? Okay." You know. And I looked, and there's this big blue book, and I was like, "Oh, who's that on the cover?" You know, like sitting on the horse, and who's that guy? Whatever. And I was like, and it's a huge book, so this is definitely my kind of fantasy. I was like, "Yeah, I'll grab this book." And I started reading The Eye of the World, I think I don't know exact dates or anything, but close to the end of 1990. And then I think The Great Hunt had come out at the same time, or the same year, and end of that year, I think. Yeah. So I remember picking up The Great Hunt, and the first book I had to wait for was The Dragon Reborn. So that's where I began.
Nice.
I began
the waiting game ever since. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I began the long wait there. And I was right along with those people out there who, you know, reread every book until the next book came out, reread the book, the next book came out. I was like, this is awesome. He was writing so many so fast at that time. And 1996, I got on the internet and
the World Wide Web.
Oh my goodness.
That's right. Through
you would have been what, a 21, 22-year-old on the internet?
I was 21. Yeah, I think I was 21. And,
trouble.
This brand new thing. I hear they have the internet on computers now.
Wheel of Time isn't the first word I put into the search bar, but it was definitely
Whoa,
close to
whoa.
the. It was close to the first. I was like, Wheel of Time, no way. And the wildest thing was how many like websites existed at this point, or you started going and seeing in 1997. That's when I really started searching more and going onto forums. And they were actually in 1997 because I think my site came out in 1998. And so, yeah, I had gone around and looked up all these websites, and because I loved the whole concept of theorizing and had at this point about the Wheel of Time, right? I love mystery. I love intrigue. I love fantasy books, and Jordan just lays it thick, right?
The puzzle pieces.
Oh yeah, I was like a crown of, and there was all these like, oh man, I believe this is to be the case, and like I had all these theories, and that's when you find the WattFac out there, and that's when you start to find resources that fans are already building. The Rec Arts group was, yeah, forums are out there definitely by the end of 1997. I don't know, I can't remember all the timing of when I found the websites. Other than I can tell you this, I found so many that I created like a portal website. Theoryland was like it was like theories, and then it was like links to every other Wheel of Time resource I could find at that point. And Theoryland went live in April of 1998. So like I was finding all those resources and building a website for it to go live in early 1998. So they were definitely around in 1997. And there were more websites coming on all the time, more forums. And so, yeah, I created a Theoryland. I just loved the idea. We actually, a really funny note about Theoryland is like I created like an email group, and this is absolutely 100% true. We just CC'd hundreds of email addresses with conversations about the Wheel of Time. Like,
great.
You would just reply.
Yeah. You reply
and
all.
You'd be like, no, Asmodeus this or whatever. You were like talking about all these other things. And like in these long email threads, it was crazy. And then like people would submit their theories, and it was not automated. So I would.
And that's the days before being CC'd on any email was just so annoying. Because like now when I get CC'd on things and like work, I don't need to be on this.
It was so cool to find fans, and you didn't care, right? Yeah, you'd like see all these emails. You're like, they're writing me about something I love. It's like,
well, up to that point, you just had the librarian,
so cool.
right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, forums were cool, but you had to kind of go back and like this. The email felt a little bit more intimate, right? It was like, and it was talking about things, and a lot of people were just reading it. Some people would, a lot of people reply, but that died off because then, websites and forums, people were just like, oh, I can just do this here. I don't need to be sending emails all the time. We can have our conversations in forum threads. And I would, post theories. I had my own. I still have my own up there. Like they're like 1998. I mean, it's almost 30 years old, right?
Not
wild.
Disproven or proven. That's the best part about the Wheel of Time.
Yep. I mean, there's some of them I still hold on to really tightly, and some of them I still argue. So, Theoryland was like my little, Wheel of Time baby. I loved learning. Like I got into web design and software design because I wanted to make a website, and then it turned into a career. Not the Wheel of Time side, just the actual
That's so cool.
designing software. And then Theoryland, the coolest moment, the first kind of moment where I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane, came when I found out they listed Theoryland with like 5 other websites in the back of Wheel of Time books.
Very cool.
Like,
okay.
They put like, these are fan sites you should go visit. Like Dragonmount.com, Silk Lantern, Tarvalon.net, Theoryland.com. And that was like that first moment, like as like like the 15-year-old in me was like, what's just happened?
Well, it's funny because
when who I am?
I just have to point it out because when we had Jason Denzel on and with the Dragonmount thing,
he got like a cease and desist.
Yeah, he was like, oh, it was really real when I got a cease and desist from Robert Jordan.
That's hilarious.
I was hoping.
And then that's how he like got in contact with Robert Jordan. He was like, actually, can I just keep doing this, please?
Yeah. So, did you ever get any threatening emails from Team Jordan?
No, I didn't get nothing. I'm trying to wonder if he like the way he used the Wheel of Time or how I don't know.
The word Dragon Mount is like
right.
Well, I mean, mine was like Theoryland of the Wheel of Time, and they never sent me. Maybe they did try, and I just never received it or something.
You hide your address really good.
Yeah, exactly. Seeing the website that I created in the book, that was just nuts. That was crazy. That was just, again, it was one of those like, what just happened? I just created this community, and it became recognizable enough to whomever, whether or not Robert Jordan was the one saying, hey, put this list together, or that was Tor or whatever. And they just dropped that list in there. It was just so cool to be like,
and then so
connected
you've also been like very, very active in the community even before you started the Dusty Wheel YouTube channel. I've seen your name in the winning brackets of different events at JordanCon, right? So I'm pretty sure you've taken some trophies home or medals.
I did. I went to the first JordanCon, and we just talked theories, and like people were like, "Oh, these are the theory people," right? That's where kind of that moniker "hardcore fan freak" was kind of given to us, and we just kind of like we're like, "This is a great. We love this. We love this name, hardcore fan freaks." Yes, we love to talk about this thing or whatever theory there is. And so I won the first poker tournament at JordanCon and walked home with a. I remember talking myself onto a panel about the Aelfin and Aelfin, like because I was in the audience and I had come with some stack of papers, and I was like, I heard they were doing a panel, and I was like, I don't know if they know all this information that we got from Robert Jordan at DragonCon, so I need to make sure that they talk about this because we liked talking about the facts, and was like, I don't know if they know these. And I remember going up to
people to know these things that I know.
Yeah, exactly. I think I can't remember if it was Tom DeSimone who I went up to, but it was somebody at JordanCon that was in there, and I was like, hey, can you just give this to the people that are running the panel so they have this? And they're like, why don't you just like join the panel? And I was like, I can do that? Oh yeah, okay. I'll join the panel.
I mean, we've been on panels at JordanCon, so safe to say they just let anybody up there.
It was like a really funny that I was like, ever since then, I think I've made every JordanCon except like 3 in the last couple decades. And
so you saw Robert Jordan at a convention,
DragonCon.
DragonCon. Was that the first time? Did you meet him? Did you get books signed? What was your interaction like that?
It's so weird. Like, and maybe people don't believe this. I'm shy. Like I
believe it.
I know it doesn't come across maybe on my channel because I'm hosting like a live show. But like I'm not the type of person just to run up and be like, hey, Robert Jordan, my name is this. And, so I did go up to him and I said, he was like literally standing. It was like before a panel began. No one was around. I was allowed access into the room. I don't think before everybody else had come in, I was allowed in. And I saw him and I was like, right. It was that moment where you're like,
I like how you're clarifying. I was allowed in there. Okay.
In my head, I'm like, did Jennifer Liang open the door and be like, Matt, you can come in or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I was there, and in my memory, not like it wasn't full of people, so I don't know how I got in, but I was allowed.
You must have been allowed in there.
No, my favorite version of this is you totally snuck in.
Oh
there.
Yeah, for sure. I don't actually believe
somebody's security.
I can't remember. I can't remember, but I do remember this. They made me one of his personal guards, like to get through the hallways in DragonCon. So they're like, hey, Matt, can you help walk Robert Jordan from this room to this room? And I was like, and so literally like you take it like this. I was like, people would like try to stop you in the hallway and like get to Robert Jordan to ask him questions. And I had to be like, stop, stand away. Robert Jordan must pass, but I remember being a personal guard, but I wasn't, I'm not the type of person to really take advantage of those moments. And so I went up to him and said hi, and then it was really quiet between us. And then I was like, okay. I just walked away. I think, I don't know. It was like it wasn't until like they did questions like that thing I mentioned, that thing of paper about the Aelfin and Elfin that I brought to the panel in JordanCon. Theorylanders, we all met out there. A bunch of us got together at the DragonCon 2005, and we did bring a stack of questions. And we've been arguing about this stuff for the last 7 years. This is annoying. Let's get some answers so we can argue about new stuff. And so we would go up and ask questions when they did Q&As, and we would hand the papers to the next Theorylander. And eventually someone was just give us the papers. And so like people would come up and other people would ask the questions, because it was like, they're just like, oh, you guys seem really intense and like you have really well prepared questions. So why don't we all just kind of join in and ask some of your questions too? But yeah, like that was
you guys seem really intense.
Oh yeah. We were pretty intense.
That's so funny.
Maybe we still
Some
are
would
intense.
say that we're still pretty intense.
Yeah.
So that I was so glad. I mean, honestly, with obviously considering what happened and that Robert Jordan passed away, having gone, I'm so glad I made that trip, right? Like that was the one time I met him. If I hadn't gone, I would have been like, oh my gosh, I had lost that opportunity. And to have had that opportunity, like we had an opportunity to have dinner with him and Daryl K. Sweet with some of the other fans, I think from Dragonmount also, and I can't remember who else were there, but that was it was an awesome trip. We got some great answers, some stuff that we still talk about today. He gave so much good information there that we were able to kind of, if this makes sense, grow the metaphysics of the Wheel of Time in a way that wouldn't have happened if not for those questions. I don't know if that makes sense, but like he answered things that we just wouldn't have had answers to. I don't believe, because it wasn't like he was doing Q&As all the time, right? He would do some, but it's only if you asked a certain question would he really give that answer up. And sometimes he just said, read and find out, right? So there's like an aspect of just like, it's so fun to be able to talk about that moment. And he was so gracious. What a wonderful, he just had so much fun with us there. Like the way he answered questions, the way he kind of responded back. He had just an amazing wit about him. And like the recordings, we have like audio recordings of a number of those panels, and they're just wonderful to still to go back and listen to.
Cool.
Yeah.
I want to listen to those.
You took us down this road, and like it's a long road, man. Okay, so
so how did the Dusty Wheel come about? Yeah, that's how do we get from
being a beta reader for Brandon Sanderson? So there's a lot.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah, so loved the books, built the website, became well known. The website became well known.
Personal bodyguard of Robert Jordan.
Personal bodyguard.
Do you have that on your resume?
Then Brandon Sanderson took over writing. And Brandon was obviously, to know everything about the Wheel of Time is impossible for one person. I mean, I've met some people who have gotten really close. And what I mean by that is like, you just ask them anything, you go to trivia contests, like they just seem to know everything there is to know. But to know enough to write the books is very difficult. And outside, beyond just what he was doing to prepare to write them, he asked some fans to take part in beta reads and help him catch mistakes, basically, right? Read through, is there something that isn't working? Is there something not right that I've written here? And I got invited to do Towers of Midnight and A Memory of Light. And in the process of those of us who got invited into the beta read, he like basically put us in the books.
Yeah.
So, and he gave us like ins. And this one, he called it the Dusty Wheel. And it was based on this
Had you ever been an innkeeper? Have you ever called yourself that? Or did that's completely Brandon Sanderson made up?
Yeah, that was his idea of how to put us in the books. It was like, what's a way that can create a character and then like give it the space a name, right? Because these are from websites, communities, and how can I take this and put it into the books? And I think it was a clever way to do it.
Yeah, especially since RJ had a thing about doing the innkeeper name and like the inns.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he carried on that tradition of how many innkeepers that we do know.
So that kind of answers the question.
Right.
The Dusty Wheel came before the Dusty Wheel.
Yeah.
Got it.
It did. Yeah. So like, and I didn't know, right? And this is like in the beta read, you just find, like, it's not something he tells you he's doing for you, really. Like,
so that's actually funnier that he didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Oh no, you just like run into it.
You're going to be this person.
Yeah.
Oh, I cannot tell you how insane it is to love something this much, right? Love a book series this much and then show up as a character forever, right? Like from 1992, whenever Towers of Midnight was written, what was that, 2010? Basically,
around there.
Like 20 years later to be a character and have my wife also in that book. I was like, I always told Terry, I was like, I didn't get you on Oprah, but I did get you in a New York Times bestseller.
Some would say this is better.
I think it's better.
Yeah.
So it was crazy. I think I stopped. I remember hitting the name Hatch. I remember just like
that's me.
This is weird. No, it was like this feels like out of place. I should probably get some feedback. Like Hatch just doesn't feel like a name that belongs in the books.
You're like, wait, that's my name.
And and it was so well done. So as we jump into this,
also, chapter, I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah,
my favorite part is that your first name is not mentioned, but we are in a matte perspective.
I know, which is also hilarious.
Yeah. So
it is.
It's like you're there.
Yeah.
So and this is what I was going to tell you. You don't know this part, Dani, and it doesn't reveal anything in this book. But as part of the beta read document, and the reason why the matte thing is I don't know if I can tell this story.
I'm like, Matt, you're gonna punch your virtual face.
I'm gonna have to stop the story. Shoot,
No.
I thought I could get away with the story.
Everyone's gonna
he
be
did
so
preface this. He
mad.
was like, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get back on another episode with you guys in the future. And I'm pretty sure that's how you just did it, because now you have another story.
All the time. Everybody is so angry with me now.
Yeah.
They're not angry with you. They're angry with me.
We want to know this story.
Because they want to know the story that you want to tell.
Okay, I feel like.
Nah, I don't know if we should.
Oh,
Okay.
Brett.
Let him. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, maybe I should wait. Maybe I should wait.
Let's wait.
Okay.
Let's wait.
We'll
get to the end at some point.
There's another story. There's another story about the beta read that is so awesome and fits with this whole kind of really fun interaction again with the fans and the fan community and what Brandon Sanderson did. So I will come back again if you'll have me, and we'll talk about that one.
I don't know. I'm pretty mad at this point,
so no. And to end the story with the Dusty Wheel is basically they announced the TV show coming out, and Sarah Nakamura, who was a Wheel of Time TV consultant, friend and fan, huge fan of the books, at JordanCon said to me, she's like, "Hey, you saw this was announced. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Oh, I mean, that was kind of my previous life. Right? This is like 2019. I was like, I did that, and that was amazing. And Theoryland still exists, and but it's like post the books and everything." And she's like, yeah. But what are you gonna actually do? Because you're gonna do something, because you just can't not do something, because you will want to talk about this. And I was like, well, I don't know. She's like, come on.
Yeah.
So the answer is peer pressure.
She's like, you're gonna do something. So what is it you're gonna do? And I was like, okay, you're probably right. I probably will do something. I don't want to do a website again. I don't want to do forums again. I had seen recently like stuff that at that time that Daniel Green and Nablus had been doing on YouTube.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, like I couldn't believe there was like Wheel of Time fans and YouTube was a thing. I had no idea. And so I was like, maybe it's something on YouTube. I loved Talking Dead and Walking Dead at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, how could I do a live? Maybe we could do a live show. And my son was part of this kind of conversation. Like we were talking about like, what could we do? What could we create? Because he was in film. And we hit on, let's do a live call-in talk show on YouTube. We had no idea how to do it. We're like, okay, let's create a set.
Yeah.
And we can figure out the tech eventually. We're like, what are we going to call it? And of course,
the Dusty Wheel.
The Dusty Wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. AKA the rumor wheel.
The rumor wheel.
Yeah, which it fits perfectly. Like it's pretty great.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason why Brandon did that was the Dusty Wheel is in reference to the fact that like I haven't redesigned Theoryland in like 15 years, and it's
because it's
dark.
so good though.
It's dark. It has a dark color palette, right? And it's old. And so when you read, he's describing the website and the community, his interactions with Theorylanders. One time
that's
he said,
so cool.
He said something like, "Theorylanders, I love you, even though it feels like when I talk to you, it's like a pack of wolves, surrounding me, kind of thing." But he took it in stride, and he did a great job of describing basically Theoryland and its community members, the site itself, and like embedding what was so lovely about that community for all those years, and still is when you meet Theorylanders.
Yeah.
So
eventually we'll start the chapter and we can talk about the Dusty Wheel in the book too.
Okay. I love though that at the beginning of this book, you are in the dedication. Your name is in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw you at WalkCon, you signed my book for me.
that made me cry. Like that was a really
the fact that I asked you to sign.
Yes,
no,
when you asked. that did make me cry.
Yeah.
That
like
made me
for
cry,
a good
Dani.
reason though, right? Not like it's
not like, oh man.
No, what I mean is like it was
when
like I was
saw the dedication.
It's like one of these moments of just like
so cool.
A Wheel of Time book was dedicated in part to me and a group of people that I had come to know and befriend, and it was part of the Wheel of Time community. Like, yeah, that was like a really, really emotionally affecting moment. And then again, I didn't know, like to have the dedication and then like Into the Void and to like read that my wife and I were in this book, and what a cool way.
And what a chapter to be in.
It's like, a good one.
Like it was just
not
really...
like a dinky one where Elaine is getting hoisted up the side of a castle or something.
Yeah.
No. It's like that's like
annoying.
it's mystery. It's theorizing. It's metaphysics. There's something so kind of cool about that. The fact that he called it also the rumor wheel. It is funny if you go back and look when the dustywheel.com when that domain was registered. It was registered before the book came out because like I was reading the book in the beta form and I was like, wait, that's mine. I should own the rumor wheel,
You
but
gotta
I
get
should
that,
own the
yeah.
dusty wheel. So like
That's
dusty
how
wheel and rumor
you
wheel.
know you have the mind for it.
Well, and then I was like, oh my gosh, what if that would be weird if somebody found like, why would they look that up? You know, but anyways, like I like registered those domains during the, like before the book came out, if I remember correctly. But yes, rumor wheel as Theorylanders is, you
That's
know,
so great.
rumors are half the fun of what we're trying to do. Like it's not about always being right. It's about having an awesome
Which is
idea.
so funny because when we get into this chapter, it's described as the rumor wheel, and then Matt specific, like not you, Matt, but Matt in the book specifically says the theories are almost never right. But
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good.
No,
but
he
it's
captured
so
he,
good.
he captures that, right?
Yeah.
Brandon did such a one, like it is an honor to be for the community to be represented that way, right? Like I'm there, but the community is there too, and that's what I cared about, right? Like I like the beginning of the chapter, I'm reading it, and I was like, I understood the descriptions, right? And I was like, oh, that's the rumor wheel, the dusty wheel.
idea, like you keep saying the word community, and that's how like we feel too, like in our Discord and everywhere that we've been and everyone that we've gotten to know. It is a very unique and very special community to be a part of, and
100%.
you are in part to thank for that, so thank you.
Yeah, I've loved every moment of it, and it's always been just from a love of the books.
Okay, well with that, I think
That
we
being
should
said,
take
take a break?
let's
and
take a
then
quick
we'll-
break, and then we'll
then we'll
come in,
start the podcast.
and then we'll start
the episode.
and then we'll start the chapter. The episode is long started. Yeah. Okay, so we're back,
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, let's start this chapter.
but you
I have to do
a
a fun fact. Yeah, and I'm gonna derail this conversation again. Probably.
I thought the fun fact was just that Matt hatches
No,
here.
that was fun, and there were facts, but that was not the fun fact. Okay, so this is important.
Okay, you tell me.
This is a very important and pivotal chapter because, and we can talk about when we get there, like whether or not you think this worked, but we
Ooh.
got to see the death or at least the end of the Golem. And you
For
can
now.
I know you can give your opinions on that, but this is a big thing because we got to figure out if it worked long term and all that. But again, we'll get into that when we see that happen in the book. Now, since we have Matt Hatch on this episode, and
Yes.
since we were talking about Theoryland and all those fun things, I wanted to mention something that was on the internet besides in blogs and forums and Theoryland and Dragonmount, 50 ways to kill a golem. Killing the golem, we're not going to go over 50, don't worry. There were discussions upon discussions upon discussions and blogs dedicated to how do we kill, how do we get rid of,
Do you
how do we
remember
defeat
my
the
prediction?
golem? I don't. You've said so many things.
I say lots of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Nope.
Okay. Anyways,
I have an idea of what my prediction was, though.
So-
I'd have to listen back. Like it's on recording somewhere. Someone will tell me what my prediction was.
yeah. Okay. So that was like the
I
major
think
question.
shove the medallion down a sword or something.
That
like
was Matt's idea.
I know,
in the-
it's a good one.
in the chapter. So there was a major question that floated around the Wheel of Time community for like a long time. And you can actually find a lot of those old conversations on message boards still, and Theoryland and Dragonmount. And I did a little bit of research before this episode as well. I never got involved in the online discussions, unfortunately, back when I was
No,
reading.
you just listened to
I
MP3s.
I
You
just
like,
listened.
you were a lurker.
Yeah, but I wanted to go over some of the popular ways that people were trying to figure out of how we can kill the golem, just like some of the top hits here. And we can chat, Matt, if you want to throw in a
Some
couple
of your fun theories.
some of your theories. Maybe tell me how many of these were yours that you were actually like putting up there. Yeah. And we've heard like Matt in the book trying to figure and brainstorm some of this stuff out too. But one of the big ways that people thought we could get rid of or kill the golem was indirect effects of the one power. So we know that the golem breaks up the power, kind of like Matt's medallion,
Right.
Matt Cawthon's medallion here, but you can still throw horse poop at it, right? That still works. So maybe we can do something like that to kill the golem.
Throw a brick at its head.
Yeah, drop something heavy on it.
Got it.
Right? Zap it with lightning as an indirect effect of the
Smush
one
it.
power.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So there were lots of different conversations that kind of went in that nature.
But
again,
we know he's all slithery. So...
we know he's oozy, right?
Yeah, gross.
Doesn't quite work. And Matt, feel free to jump in if any of these were like yours.
That one, it doesn't. What's interesting is I'm trying to remember if I even got into these. Are sometimes hard for me to like jump into because now I'm like there's some ways. I just looked up one on Theoryland that someone suggested, but I don't know if there's a certain aspect of the metaphysics that it's been revealed already in the book. Since that's what sucks about this is I don't know.
Well,
I don't know
say
what's
it
been
and we'll figure
revealed.
it out.
Yeah.
So no, but you keep on going, and I'll send you an idea, and you tell me.
Okay. Another idea that came up a couple times was melt it, right? So
Melt it.
yeah, if you
like
generate
the
enough,
Wicked Witch of the West.
exact.
It
Well,
all comes back to Wicked.
always,
I
yeah.
love Wicked so much.
She's watched it so many times in the last 3 days.
You know why? Because I
it's a
got
pro-
to buy it, and now I just have it.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, we know that like the medallion can burn it in a sense. So I don't know, like drop it in a volcano or something. Like that was an idea that floated around.
Drop the golem in a volcano.
Yeah, and maybe that'll kill it.
We're not going to talk about how we're getting the golem captured to drop in the volcano.
Oh man, okay. So Matt Hatch just messaged this really.
Is that okay? Like this?
Oh
is,
yeah. Okay. Well, this
is that okay? Because I can't remember
yeah.
I can't remember if that is like.
You guys have like a secret little message.
We have a side conversation going on right now.
Matt is so concerned.
He is. He's very worried about it.
About spoiling things
so
for
worried.
me and everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, read this one out, Matt.
Okay, so I read this one. This one's fine. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
These
are just ideas, right?
Yeah, this is
what people on
Anubis.
the internet were like trying to figure out. How do we kill a golem?
Yeah, like Anubis in this 2003 said, simple way: wrap steel or iron around it, channel into the iron, make a hollow sphere, put it on the golem, and then turn it into Quendalar.
Simple. Easy.
Did you say simple way? Easy. No problem at all. That's just the easiest
does it say Quendalar versus Quendiar?
Quendiar, yeah.
Quendiar, yeah.
Quendiar.
Yep.
Got to roll the L's.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we definitely had fun with like, wait, you could do it this way.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe we were going to get some kind of discovery about why the medallion hurt it when nothing else does.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't bleed, it doesn't whatever. And so I thought maybe when Elaine was doing her tinkering and trying to replicate it, we'd figure out, oh, this is what's different about it.
Yeah.
And then maybe we could capitalize on that with some sort of weaponry or something. I thought maybe it would go down that road.
Yeah. And talking metaphysics of it, like you could make some conversations of like the golem doesn't react to the power, the medallion doesn't react to the power. So it's kind of like two of the same thing touching each other, right?
Ooh.
So it's really funny. So if you go back, you can find conversations from like 2000, 2003, like so old that this was like 20 years old. Oh my goodness. That really go in detail on how you could hypothetically. And I love that we get this one in this chapter. So
cool.
We'll see how it plays out.
What I'm reading right now, it's just like a theory and has like 116 responses to it. Just like people talking about it.
We don't even need to talk about this chapter anymore. We can just do this. Okay. So yeah, so that's it. Fact. I think it's time for us to actually jump into this chapter.
Okay.
Because we got to first meet the Dusty Wheel and Innkeeper Hatch.
Okay, so chapter 31 is called Into the Void. And I started this chapter or this episode by saying I was mad at the chapter title.
Right, yeah.
Because in my mind, I saw the 5 dice.
Yeah.
I know this is a map perspective, and I'm so eager to get to that frickin' Tower of Genjai. I thought,
oh my goodness,
I thought that into the void meant into
the tower
where the stupid snakes and foxes live.
Not even close.
And I was
my
like,
goodness.
oh, we're getting it. And I knew that it was like a big one because we're getting a guest on this episode. And so I was like, ooh, this is gonna be so good. We're finally getting it. We're finally getting there.
Gotcha. Nope.
Nope.
I mean, this is good too, but talk about disappointing.
Right. Yeah, it's the expectation thing.
It's just I was way too excited. And then when I was like, hold on a minute, that's the end of this chapter.
That's
and we're not
the
getting anywhere. Yeah. You mean we're not saving Moraine? Come on.
Mm-hmm.
How long do I have to wait?
Yeah, disappointing.
Anyway, okay, so we have the 5 dice chapter symbol. We are entering in Matt's perspective. Matt is finishing his drink at a tavern.
Mm-hmm. We don't know the name yet. We don't. We will find out very shortly. Though.
Yeah, he's playing some dice game that he doesn't even know the rules of.
Yeah, and it's such a weird dice game name. I forgot that I wanted to look it up to see if there's like some sort of reference that was made here.
Craig and Crackles or something.
Karanko's Spit.
Oh yeah.
And there's like K's in it. Karanko is spit. So I'm thinking like maybe there's some sort
Pull
of
the
brand
lever,
standard.
Kronk.
Exactly. Like I don't know, but I didn't look it up. But I might go back and look for something.
Okay, so he's playing this dumb game and he doesn't even know the rules.
Yeah.
But he rolls and his luck intuition stuff
He knows he was winning. Yeah.
tells him he's won.
Yeah.
But these tricksters
Yeah.
that he's playing with,
They're liars.
They're liars.
Mhm.
And they lie like liars. You lost. And he's
Yeah.
like, no,
No, I
I
didn't.
didn't.
Yeah, it's important that his luck is with him tonight too. Like on Tonight of All Nights, that's
And
a
I
really
mean,
big deal.
When is it not?
I mean, sometimes he doesn't
Matt
always win.
often is making these claims. Good thing my luck's with me. Have we ever really seen Matt where his luck isn't with him? No.
Yeah, it's a good point. Well, I mean, in his interpretation of being unlucky is him like getting into bar fights and stuff like that sometimes. So he's like, "Oh, I feel unlucky," but it's also like, Matt,
I
you
don't think
didn't
he's
die.
ever felt unlucky.
I don't know. He just like he complains a lot. That's his.
He's complaining.
That's his thing.
He complains in his head
That's his
more
thing.
than anything.
Yeah. Anyways,
That's
so
his thing.
Matt calls them out for being lying liars, and they're like, you said you didn't know the rules," but he's like, "I don't, but I still know I won." And then he does the whole, "Hey, does anybody want to tell me the rules here?"
Yeah. And
So-
then that's when we get introduced to the
Yeah.
Dusty Wheel,
Okay.
better known as the Rumor Wheel.
Yeah. The best place in Camelin to listen to rumors. It's perfect. It's a perfect fit.
It is. It's a perfect fit.
Yeah.
It was the best place.
Yeah. And it was really funny because I put down in my notes too, because it's Katie, the servant girl, is flirting with Matt, even though he told her that he has a wife.
Ugh,
told her.
What is it with these women?
Yeah. And I and I was like, oh my goodness, is this a reference to Matt? But I'm so glad that we have an answer on that now too, because then we have the reference to your wife and how you don't like when people look at your wife a little bit too long, and you've got a special cudgel for those type of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's very pretty.
Does
Does she know that she's in there?
She does. Yeah.
Does she
of course.
care?
Yeah. No, I think she does. Again, like this isn't.
Because she hasn't
This is
read all
if-
the way to this point.
if this makes sense. This is something that's been a part of her life too, right?
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
we started dating when we were like 17. You know what I mean? Like
So she knows what she
And-
got into. Yeah.
somewhat. She didn't know that like I read books really, really late into the night. And that, like that weirded her out a little bit. And I was like this idea that you'd read a book at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
like not just wait till the next day, was just like that was like foreign to her. So this has been a part of her life. It obviously it means something different to her, right?
Yeah.
As compared to what it means to me. But how he included us there was a really funny. Like people were like, "Do you really have a cudgel?" I was like, I should, apparently.
You should
Should
have a
have a
cudgel. You
cudgel.
should.
Brandon,
I also wanted to note how very tactful Brandon Sanderson is, because there are so many innkeepers who are referred to as large innkeepers,
Or untrustworthy skinny innkeepers.
but if they're skinny,
Yeah.
then you can't trust them.
Mhm.
So my favorite part about Innkeeper Hatch, no mention of weight. We have no idea if we
Mhm.
can trust
Yeah.
no idea
okay.
if we can trust this guy or not.
By the way, I've never analyzed this. What's so amazing about what you guys do is something that I've never done, which is analyze the text this closely about like something like that. So that is I've never thought about that, as in like, wait, he doesn't describe me, and that is awesome.
That feels
That is-
like
And that's
That
why
is
we're
awesome.
suspicious.
I feel like I just like won the prize.
Yeah.
You did
Medal.
like.
I won the medal.
Mhm.
I love that he left it as like a mystery. Like
Yeah.
it's at the rumor wheel. Can you trust the innkeeper?
We
It's like
don't
a great
know.
question.
Well,
We
here's
don't
the
even
thing.
know your weight. How are we
Because
supposed to
I
know?
want to. I'm gonna see. This is the part where I'm gonna keep us back on track. So with these guys who are in the, so these guys who he's playing dice with, there's a little bit of tension here because Matt calls them out pretty hard, but then he stands up with the Zashandari, and then they also kind of like look like they're gonna pick a fight, but then one of them recognizes Matt based
because
on
he takes off his scarf.
right.
He takes out his medallion.
Matt's intentionally been showing his face around here for tonight because he has a plan in place here. But that's the question, is like, are these guys dark friends, or are they just people who were told to look out for this guy
Right.
and are reporting back? So that's the question, is do you let dark friends in your tavern? Do you do that? Do you check them out, Matt Hatch?
How
I
are
don't
you
know.
supposed to know?
Exactly.
I mean, you have to remember, right? Like this is as it describes. This is a place for everybody to come.
Okay.
Right. This is like anyone comes in, if they have a good rumor to share, they can
Yeah,
share
fair
it.
enough.
Right. So everyone, and I like that he did this, right? Which is, it's not that everyone there is a regular, right, or a patron that's always showing up. Some people just come in for the night. They might be dicing. Again, like he mentions that I have a cudgel, and it's like, and he like throws it to the idea of, it's like, oh, people staring at his wife versus like, what else is that cudgel for? Well, it's for anyone doing untoward things, like
Cracking
staring at
heads.
his wife or something, right? Like anyone's coming in, and so like so there's a cudgel back there waiting for somebody to cause some problems, and then
clearly,
and then we'll
I do
clear
love
them
it.
out.
You're the tough yourself. You don't even have to hire toughs.
Exactly.
You can handle it.
You can handle it. I mean, like, he was Robert Jordan's bodyguard. So.
He was. Yeah, he's even got like the wiping down the glass thing that the innkeeper does. Like, I do love the description.
It's good. I need to point out some descriptions of the people Matt's dicing with.
Okay, go. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. One of my new favorite ways to describe somebody with a strong jaw: a chin that could sharpen swords.
Ooh, nice.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I just put their names down. I didn't even put their chin descriptions.
I know, that was a good one for me. And then, because I first listened to the audiobook before I read it.
Yeah.
It's like Matt is dicing with someone named Riddle.
Yeah.
And then I was like, who? Tom Riddle?
Oh.
And then he turns out,
reference.
And then he turns out to be a dark friend, and it turns out maybe he's dicing with the Dark Lord.
Nice. Okay, I like that.
Well, I like riddles, just as in riddles.
Riddle.
Well, yeah, that's good too. But it's Rittle.
I didn't know that.
Right. I know.
I didn't know it wasn't riddle.
Okay, well, you made a Harry Potter reference.
I did make one.
We are
it's the worst one. But
you did tell me that you had a bad one.
It's a bad reference for today.
Okay. Well, cheers to and because that's going to wrap up the Dusty Wheel. Because after this, Matt is going to leave. Not you, Matt. You have to stay.
Yeah, you have to stay. Episode. Sorry, you have to stay and talk to us.
Matt's leaving the Dusty Wheel. Okay. Matt Cawthon is leaving. Matt from Cawthon is leaving the Dusty Wheel.
This is the best
for tonight. It's terrible.
It's a good riddle.
Oh, good one.
Hate it.
Nice.
Hate this. Okay.
Nice. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
That was a bad one.
That was Oh.
I also like that Matt got his medallion back.
Yeah.
Because the last time we saw it.
No, we saw him
get it back. I don't think we saw Matt get it back yet.
Oh no.
Because we saw
we didn't see
face. Yeah. Hanlon.
Yeah.
Run away with one of them.
A copy.
And we're like, oh, good, it wasn't the real one.
Okay.
But I didn't know that Elaine had returned it to Matt.
Yeah.
Until we get him revealing it to these.
Right. I mean, it makes sense because she did say she was going to, and he was.
I know, but
he went to her with the plan. Like, we got to figure out a plan. So, okay. But you're right. I think this is where we actually confirm that he has it back.
Yes.
So, that's good. Okay. And now it's Golem.
It's confirmation.
Golem hunting time.
I don't know what Elaine's doing. Like, she says she's going to give it back, but like.
She might not. It's a very
pregnancy brain.
I forgot to give it back to you.
But I do like that Matt went to, in order before he goes out, right? It's time to get to work. He went to a place in Camelin where everyone who was wearing rags to nobles showed up, right? If there was a place you want to be seen and for rumors to spread about where you're at, and to be known that you're showing up, the Dusty Wheel was a great place to go for
Super
him,
effective.
because everyone, would learn that he was there, because you're touching on all, parts of the society. Right.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, he's also like the commander who has his own rumors about him of like the largest mercenary group outside and like Camelin's walls right now. So he in itself, even without the fact that he's Matt and Dark Friends are probably looking for him and the Golem's hunting for him, like he still is a huge figure who people would be like, oh shit, like that's the guy. That's the commander guy who has all these wild stories about like facing off against death and all that.
As we go through this chapter, it's pretty clear that this is a very set and intentional plan.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where I question how many other times have they attempted to carry this exact plan out.
Yeah, it sounds like this is the first time though.
No.
Or
I don't think it sounds that way.
Well, because he's like, oh man, I hope I don't have to do this again tomorrow night.
Again. I hope I don't have to do this
Oh, you're putting emphasis on the again.
right? Like he showed up at a place that should
Like it's been
should do the
happening
trick.
for a couple of
And
days. Yeah.
by the way, there's a great line here. It says, as he walked down off the inn's front porch, people gathered at the windows and doorways. So it's kind of like that old Western. It has that old
Yeah.
Western feel
love
of like,
that.
right, the confrontation
Wow,
moment where
wow.
everyone's,
Yeah.
he's
Wow,
like,
wow,
you can almost
wow.
hear, the jingle of his boots as he's walking out
yeah,
into the
yeah.
porch.
The
I love
And
it.
scuffing
everyone
of
is
the
at the
heels.
windows.
Yeah.
Like
The
everyone
Spurs?
knows something's about to go down.
It's the
Yeah.
Spurs.
Spurs. Yeah.
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 So
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
yeah, it's so well kind of crafted, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what makes me think that they have been setting this up and doing it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
'Cause we don't really know exactly how long he's been here or
Yeah.
anything like that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on. Okay. So we leave, and then the first group of thugs. So clearly the plan worked because the first group of thugs trying to kill Matt before he even makes it a street away from the Dusty Wheel.
Perfect. And then we got the band coming out of the shadows, being intimidating, and then the thugs run away.
Exactly, for the first one. And then so we get a page, 2 pages or so, because it's a couple of groups here. He ends up needing Talmanis and his group 3 more times in the next hour. So like this is a bit of a lengthy process. He's wandering the streets trying to lure out the golem here. And then the last group, they actually do end up fighting.
Kill 5 of their guys.
Yeah. And one of Matt's soldiers gets wounded, sad. So
but
a couple guys have to go. Nobody dies, so that's good. But yeah, so Matt is starting to worry. And this is the thing. He's starting to worry if he's going to have to do this again tomorrow night. So, and when I read it, I'm like, oh, this is the first that he's trying this for the first time.
That's not how I read.
But it's like Matt, so I have to assume like it works immediately. His plan, it works.
Yeah, but like I feel like it's a really well crafted plan, and his luck won't let this happen until the conditions are right.
Until it's perfect. Yeah, that makes sense too. I like that too.
Like, because you know how he has to go into like lots of different taverns to like feel the, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get that too.
That's how I see it anyway.
Let's get a tiebreaker here.
Okay.
So Matt, is this the is it a couple nights for this one?
The theory I would say
permanently on record. So whatever you say.
From the rumor wheel.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rumor wheel did it. So I would go for that. This was like a second night. This wasn't
nice. Okay,
I would say, yeah, I'm gonna lean towards this is not the first night they've tried this.
Fair enough.
That's my feeling.
I like that. Okay.
So then he finally sees who he wants to see. And then at this point, I go, oh, it's the golem fight.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to the to the tower or whatever tonight.
Yeah, it's not into the void of...
It's not into the void
tower
of the Eelfin world.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have the golem showing up. He can tell it's the golem just from even the way it moves.
Oh, so slimy.
And then we get a little bit of shouting back and forth
right,
across
the
the
golem
street.
Calls out, you think you can ambush me?
I have to assume they're so far away. What?
Yeah. Can the cat amplify their voices? Yeah.
You think you can ambush me?
Yeah. And Matt says, I'm tired of being chased. I sought you out.
Yeah.
Something like that.
There's a little bit back and forth.
But then the fight begins.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So do we need to, are we good for time or do we want to take a break?
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. You can just across the way.
It's the Western.
It is totally.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can take a quick break and then get into the fight.
I have to. Yeah, I just want to pause before we
You're
get because we're gonna
excited.
I know because I need to calm down a little bit here.
Okay.
I need to bring myself down here.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so we are back, and listen, you guys exchanged some messages.
Okay.
And told me that you could tell me the story from earlier.
Yeah.
And I demand satisfaction. I demand.
He's gonna leave it vague, so you're maybe not.
I don't care. I don't even care.
No, I think this is a fun story that you can learn a lot more about soon.
Tell the story, and if you spoil a bunch of stuff for her, you're never allowed back. That's
basically. So in
Brett
the beta, in the beta read process, what they would do is Brandon and his team would send you the document, and we had to sign an NDA. We're not going to share this information, right? We have the book, right? You remember you shared that book before the book was published.
Oh my goodness!
Can't do it.
Right,
Right to jail.
Well, and stuff was still in flux, right? The beta read process is like you're reading it and then stuff's changing.
Well,
Right?
yeah, it's not a complete book. We're not finished.
No, like you made comments and then it was just like, then I just saw the final book. It was like,
Yeah.
and then you would go and you'd look things up because you're like, oh, I made a comment about this. Did this change?
Yeah.
And you were like,
Ooh,
and it was like
cool.
so tense because you'd get the book and be like, I hope this changed, but I have no idea if something's going to. Well,
That must be a crazy Kate. I just completely understood what that means to be a beta reader because
okay. I guess we should have explained that.
I never
Yeah,
really fully understood exactly what that is.
So yeah,
and so
yeah,
as a
yeah.
huge fan, you're getting this book that's not completely done or correct.
It's not finalized. It's not finalized.
It's like alternate universe.
It is. Well, I get nervous answering questions sometimes about the last two books because there's a mix
Read a
of
different
things
version.
there's a mix of like, what was the final of this thing? And I have to go like look it up before I talk about it because you can't talk about the things that you, because like I would feel like it would have to be literally, it would have to be like literally like basically Harry and Brandon saying, sure, like, and that's never going to happen. So those will die with me, I'm sure. But the process is you would get a copy. And at this time, if I remember correctly, we had 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's it. To like
that
read
is not
and give
a lot
feedback.
of time to read a book and give notes.
I could have sworn only 2 weeks. Maybe it was even shorter than that. I can't remember.
You'd have to like take off work.
No, that's not a joke. Like, and well, imagine just how much you feel responsible. Like, this is like so real. How devastating it is to miss something.
So anyone who's upset about these last 2 books, what's your email so they can message you personally?
That did happen. Like, I got messages and like people would say stuff and it was just like, they'd be like, how did you miss this?
How could you let this happen?
Oh my gosh. Like, it was like,
you
it's weighty, man.
Let this happen, man.
No, but you feel that. Like, it's real. Like, as a devoted like fan, you've been rereading these books forever. You feel like this is like a position that you've, I'm not like saying feel bad for me. It was awesome.
Easier for me to yell at you than it is for me to yell at Maria. So Maria's so sweet and wonderful. And I mean,
it's daunting because I don't care about, like, there's stuff I just don't care about in the books. People would be like, how did you miss this? And I'd be like, I don't care about that. So well, I was there from a very specialist perspective. Yeah. Like, the stuff I cared about was very like on the metaphysics side. I was like, can these things happen? And can this, whatever, like, I cared about that stuff. But so, there was stuff that I think like, oh shoot, I missed X. And I got better, I think, after Towers of Midnight for A Memory of Light. But we had 2 weeks. You're not giving feedback to Brandon. And then like, he's coming back and saying, tell me more. Right. No. You are sending it into the void, if you will.
I like it.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, you're just like, these are my thoughts. And yes, you're commenting with other people, and so you're reading their thoughts too, and like, I kind of agree with their thoughts.
Oh, it's a collaborative effort?
Yeah, the document was collaborative. Like, you could see the comments other people
like a Google Docs, like a
yeah. So it's just like a shared doc, and that process has actually changed and gotten even more, much better than it was. Like, his team still uses the beta read process.
Yes, I just saw a recent thing about Brandon Sanderson's latest book that just came out.
Yep.
How he sent out 3 different endings to 3 different beta groups, and then in the end used none of them.
Yeah, it's his experimentation with that kind of like that feedback methodology, and like they send out this doc, you're reading it, and you can choose how to do it. The way I did it was I read really slowly every single like line and just kind of like chewed the line. Right? It was like, okay, I'm good here. Move on.
There's just so much. You feel so much responsibility. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, again, you do. And so I went so slow.
But then also overcome the excitement of reading this book. Like, I have to imagine
because you want to know what's going to happen.
No. There's like it's not like that. At least it wasn't like for me. Like, that completely changed my relationship with the Wheel of Time.
Interesting.
And it's not like it's a really weird thing that I didn't consider, which was how do you wreck the guy that loves theories with the Wheel of Time? Take him behind the curtain. It's like how do you
it all comes back to Wicked.
Like, how do you disable the like me from being able to like get so excited about it? Is like, show me how the sausage is made behind the scenes, and I can't really.
Turns out you're just Jeff Goldblum.
So this is the story, and it's more elaborate like later we can talk about it, but he sent me a modified chapter that no one else got.
Ooh.
And it was written just for me based on something I had said to Brandon once.
That's
And
so crazy.
Brandon got authorization from Harriet to do this. So I like to call it the only official Wheel of Time fan fiction that is ever, it's like officially sanctioned Wheel of Time fan fiction. It's this really, really great sequence. And it got, like, I didn't realize it. And by the time, like, I finally got to the part and I was laughing, like I wrote in the document, like the beta read document. It's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And people are like, what? And then I was like,
what are you talking about?
And I remember, I think it was Peter, who's head of editorial. I think Peter said to me, he's like, yeah, like Brandon's been waiting for your reaction, but I was like reading really slow. Like, so it took a longer to get to the reaction than they anticipated. So they're like, just like, did Matt
he said nothing about it?
Yeah. Did Matt notice? Like, did you just
I did that specifically for him?
Like, this was supposed to be like a really funny thing for him to run into. Maybe he didn't even like it was. So there's a whole story about that. But yeah, that document had a scene that he modified.
And you can come back and tell us about that scene later.
You will love that. You will love that. Trust me, it is
Brett especially.
It's a funny moment. It's a funny moment. But yes, that was the story that I was going to wait to tell you. But I only can give you a portion of it, but a really funny aspect to Towers of Midnight.
You know what? I'm so glad. That's the best.
It is the best. It was
okay. I'm not mad at you anymore. You can come back.
Towers of Midnight like has so many things for me in that way that it's one of my favorite, probably in part because of just these things that happened. As part of that.
Yeah. No, that's so funny. Okay. Shall we?
Yeah. Commence the fight sequence here with the Golem versus Matt and crew.
Okay. I'm going to rely heavily on you.
Sure. Okay.
To walk us through this fight scene. So, Matt, historically, not my favorite scenes to read. Like, I like reading them and I'm like, okay, cool, that happened. But when it comes to breaking down battle scenes or fight scenes,
and like what's interesting and
what's interesting and important, I don't exactly capture what Brett thinks is important and interesting.
Should be like, well, to be doing like a Borderlander versus Trollocs, should be like, okay, so do we want the Trollocs to die? Like, I'm not.
No, not quite. But I'm like, okay, I get it.
So this in this sequence, Golem bad, Matt good. Right. Okay. Nailed it. Okay.
Matt wins. Good.
Yeah. No, there you go. Comforted.
Okay. So I'm gonna rely on you for what points you want to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So like, let's kick this off. So we got the Golem rushing towards Matt because Matt isn't a fool. He's not a hero. He's not going to charge at the Golem.
Well, I did want to talk about that too, because it's almost like we return to Matt.
I'm not a bloody hero, Matt.
I'm not a bloody hero, Matt.
Yeah. Only a fool would rush at the Golem.
The only thing I had to say about Matt last book that I felt a little bit off about.
Sure.
That people talk about how, Brandon's Matt was written a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And like fair, you're not going to get everything exactly perfect.
Sure.
However, what I didn't like, the one thing that I pinpointed was the things that Matt usually thinks in his head is usually opposite from what he does.
Mm-hmm.
And last book we had Matt saying and doing a lot of the things that I thought he should have been thinking rather than and then he does the opposite.
Yeah.
Right. And so here we're back to Matt thinking things and then doing the opposite because he
I'm not a bloody hero, but then single-handedly fight the Golem.
And he has the streets cleared of any civilians who might get a little bit injured or caught up or try to fight or whatever. And
that's just good sense. He just doesn't want to get
good sense.
Doesn't want them in the way.
Yeah. It's not that I'm a hero or anything like that. And it's just really, really back to that Matt mindset of thinking something and then like doing the opposite.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we get Matt planting himself. He waits for the Golem to charge. And then he's also given orders to his soldiers to basically stay out of it, like back up. They put the lanterns down. So we're kind of forming like a big circle or a big ring semicircle
Mhm.
to give space because we don't want the golem
Now I'm
ripping
confused.
apart the
Was this
soldiers.
on purpose to start a fire, or did the fire happen by accident?
That was an
Okay.
accident.
I couldn't I read it twice.
So
and I still wasn't sure.
was an accident from what it looks like here.
Okay.
So they've got specific orders not to interfere. We get like a page of the golem versus Matt, and Matt gets a couple of hits in. The medallion burns
you know what
the
we
golem.
didn't talk about?
Sure, no.
The medallion wrapped around the blade.
Right, yeah. So he wraps it around the Ashendarite.
Like he prepares for this fight.
Before. Like when he left the Dusty Wheel, he wrapped it around ahead of time.
And I was like, how secure is that?
Secure enough. It's good enough.
He's like, oh, I'm gonna have to hit him with the side of this thing instead of like I like.
He knows lots of different types of knots, and some of them are super strong.
Okay,
so.
good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
we get it.
We get a couple hits in on the golem. He gets backed up a little bit into a corner thing. You know, the golem's so fast, and we even get a hit on like the back of the golem's heel at one point. So that would be a tendon, but like, it's just kind of oozy and doesn't do anything because it's a golem.
It doesn't even have an Achilles tendon.
Yeah. So one thing I do want to point out here is Matt's internal thoughts, and I don't know how much we want to talk about this, but he thinks about he's attacking the golem for Tylen, and he's attacking the golem for the men he's lost because he's got no other options than to fight the golem at this point. It's just like he also knows the golem eventually will go after Oliver and Tuon. Oliver, yeah. I know that.
Sounded like you said Oliver.
That's because
a slip up. Don't say that.
It's not a slip up. There's been some whiskey.
Just don't say it. Just
Oliver.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now the Tylen thing, I know it's a point of contention for some people because Matt has some thoughts about he's fighting to basically avenge her.
Tylen.
Yeah.
Okay, so
do you want to say anything on that? Do you want to touch that with a 10-foot pole? I don't know.
I do want to touch it.
Okay.
But with a 10-foot pole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just poke it.
Maybe a 9-foot pole.
Okay.
I'm just going to poke it a little. I wanted Tylen to die. I said she should get murdered.
Yeah.
I did say that at one point.
You did. You said
and then I went, ooh, but not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little bit upset, mostly because I didn't want Matt to feel personally responsible.
Yeah.
For her death.
Because he left Tylen tied up under the bed as part of the exit strategy. Like she okayed it, but we had no idea the golem was going to go in.
Was going to go in and
that.
Rip her head off or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. So not great.
Sure.
I think that Matt personally feels responsible for her death.
Yeah.
Whether or not we care if Matt has any feelings.
Sure.
For Tylen, deserved or otherwise. He feels responsible for her death.
Yeah.
And therefore he feels responsible to avenge her.
Yeah. And
how about that for a 9-foot pole?
That was good. I'll give it an 8-foot pole. I was just going to say that.
Oh no.
No, I was just going to say that Matt hasn't had a lot of time to like internalize and even think about what has happened. We've had a long time to discuss, like the community has had a long time to discuss. This happened very recently for Matt. So he's still like,
well, and does he process anything?
Well, that's the other thing.
There's
is
no
what is he
therapy in the Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
This would be a very short book if there were therapists.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the fight sequence here. Okay. Okay. So we got
but okay, it's not back to the fight sequence. It's the other stuff that I'm actually interested in. It's the old tongue that he's just like speaking so fluently.
He doesn't really do that. Yeah, he starts shouting in a little bit here.
Yeah, that's what when he's saying that he's for Tylen, for those other guys who died, for everybody, for Vannon,
for light, glory, and love, true blood of battle.
It's all in the old tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
I know.
That's the thing.
I liked that.
That's yeah.
It's great.
It is good. Yeah.
Oh, okay. that you don't care about?
But I do like this thing came to me as I had forgotten this part. I do like that we are getting this fight. So Jordan didn't give us Couladin, right?
That's true.
And
off screen.
But there's an aspect of like an interesting, like we actually do see this fight, whereas we didn't see that fight.
Right.
But it doesn't actually make like the tension of, because Matt thinks about the fight, right? He thinks about it. In this case, though, we're seeing it actually happen. So I like both
contrast,
of those. I mean, I like that we have both of those moments, if that makes sense. Like the way Jordan wrote that and gave us not the actual
the off-page
kind of like
fight.
yeah, exactly.
Or even like the retrospective, like thinking back on, this is what happened. Even that sometimes, like I do like that writing style.
Me off with after the
Abu Dhar thing.
Dhar thing.
Sure.
We only get a retrospect, and I was like, I would have loved to have read that whole thing.
Yeah.
So I like that we get this one, but it's
Yeah.
actually
And it's kind of cool with the Golan versus Matt fight. Like Matt has the built-in, like he's got the plot armor because he is the main character, but the rest of the characters don't, right? And that's the big thing that
I actually was wondering who was going to die this chapter.
You feel some fear for the rest, especially when the Golan changes strategies here, because the Golan isn't winning the fight against Matt, and then the Golan switches strategies here.
I thought we were saying goodbye to Talmanis.
Yeah, well, first thing what it does, the Golan starts running around kicking out all the lanterns that the soldiers put down on the ground here to create light.
That guy's too smart.
Exactly, yeah. So Matt starts shouting for them to retreat further, and then the lanterns are getting kicked out, but Talmanis, being a bloody hero, like basically scoops up his lantern because we don't want to be in pitch darkness to fight the Golan. That's not good either. And then he grabs his lantern and the Golan chases off after Talmanis and he like books it, but also the Golan is a lot faster than anybody else. So we got Talmanis running with his lantern. We got the Golan chasing behind, and then we got freaking Matt running after both of them, being like, oh no,
this isn't the plan.
Don't kill Talmanis. It's like we're getting a little bit off track here.
But isn't it sort of the plan?
It's a little bit of the plan,
because
but it's not.
Had to like specifically, like that's what I was just waiting for this conversation for. Because I read it and I was like, I sort of understand this, and I like the outcome in the end. Yeah. I'm like, cool, that's a cool thing that happened. But if you really want me to understand how they're leading the Golan specifically to this one spot to do this one specific thing.
Yeah. So at the end of the chapter, Matt specifically thinks like, okay, so it didn't go quite to plan, but it went pretty well. Like it worked. So they improvised a little bit here.
Well, he was mostly mad that his Ashendari got a little burned.
Oh, got a little scuff, little chip or whatever. But that's the point, is like it went mostly to plan. It went a little bit off track here, but.
So the thing about podcasts is people can't see you nodding.
Look, Matt's very enthusiastically nodding.
Video. Yeah. People can't
used to
see
the YouTube
you
stream.
Agreeing. You have to say, I agree.
Again, part of like listening to you both, like sometimes I know I'm a guest, but I'm also a listener. So I get to hear this live.
Like, yes.
So I'm like listening to your podcast. It's just live. And so I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great, Mm-hmm. And so I'm like listening. I'm interacting sometimes as though I'm just listening to this later. Like you've actually recorded this. And it's like, yeah, this is a great conversation. Keep going.
Yeah. Just nodding. I was like, you could.
Well, as you were both like having a great conversation, I was like, okay, what happens next? And so I was looking off to the side, like catching up with like, oh, that's right, Matt does, because you had brought up the old tongue piece. And so I was like, oh, that's right. I'd forgotten about the old tongue side of this. And that's
what I was hoping for. I was hoping that I would make you say those words. Oh yeah, I forgot. I was hoping I would make you say that tonight, and I did it.
Yes.
Yes.
I did. Was that on your list?
It was on my list. I think I said it out loud at the beginning. So.
So two. That's good.
Excellent.
It's like a bingo card.
It is like a bingo card.
Okay, so this is where the fire happens. So we got the funny British comedy humor of them all running through doors back and forth. Okay, so that's great. And then Talmanis,
I missed that, but I believe you.
Well, okay, because it's Talmanis running with the lantern, the Golan chasing after him, Matt chasing after both of them.
Oh, and then some lights start to turn on as if some people actually started to realize that there's a fight going on. And there's like a house on fire or something. The house
is on fire because the Golan catches up with Talmanis almost. And he like stumbles with the lantern, drops the lantern, which starts a fire.
And it's an oil lantern.
So oil splashes, the fire starts. And I don't know, everything's made out of wood. So then the building starts catching on fire.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course. Right.
And then the Golan goes to like lunge again at Talmanis, but Matt is further behind. So he has his Ashendari. It's not designed for throwing, but he throws it anyways.
Like a spear,
Throws like a spear. He's aiming for the Golem's head, but it gets tangled up in the Golem's legs because lucky, I guess. Trips up the Golem. It doesn't do anything else besides trip him and give Talmanis a half a second. Then the Golem picks up the Ashendari and throws it into the burning house. It's like, screw your Ashendari.
Okay, because
it has the medallion.
It has the medallion attached to it. And then collectively we all go Oh no!
Oh no, he doesn't have his medallion
doesn't
anymore.
have the medallion. How's he gonna defeat the
Right.
golem?
So
Oh,
that's
by the
when
way, by the way, I did that same. I had that same moment just now.
the hands
I
to
was
the
like,
face.
wait, oh, that's right.
Yeah. So now the golem realizes that we don't have to chase Talmanis anymore because Matt doesn't have his medallion and he wants to kill Matt. So now the golem turns back and then starts going for Matt. That's the big thing. Now we're going to go kill Matt Cawthon. Not Matt Hatch. We're going to kill Matt Cawthon.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was safe back at the end.
You were safe at the end.
You're totally safe. You
Allegedly.
don't even know what's going on.
Allegedly. We don't actually know.
I have a cudgel.
You're safe.
Okay.
Wife's safe.
But it is a
Daughter's
great,
safe.
like, this is one of those sequences where my tendency from a reader standpoint is when we get into kind of a fight scene, I would like fast forward everything because it's just like, and they did this and this. I don't think I read every word here, but this is a
that's
fun.
Me too. I'm a skimmer.
This is a fun scene, but it's a fun fight scene. It is just.
It is good, and that's why I try to break it down like a little slower because I know there are people like me who are like super interested in what's going on here.
I am such a skimmer that I will miss huge things,
right?
And I'll be like, "Wait, what happened? Are you sure?"
Love the vision of Matt dashing inside. Sorry, I don't know if I'm fast forwarding too far ahead.
It's good.
But like dashing inside and like Talmanis throws him the spear and he's like got the things wrapped around his arms and he's rushing in. Like I want to like it's so cinematic in my head. Like that's
how I feel about Sanderson's writing. Is he writes like it's a movie. Like he paints a scene like it would be good for TV.
Yeah, like this would. Like this
would be a great. This would be a great TV scene. Like all right, back to it. So now the golem's like super cool. I can go kill Matt because he doesn't have the medallion anymore.
Yes.
So he's running towards Matt full speed and he gets to him. And right before the golem reaches Matt, what happens?
He whips out other medallions.
He whips out 2 more medallions on chains.
And then we're like, go Elaine, actually.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm actually surprised. Go Elaine.
Yeah. So he like slams him into the golem. The golem's like, what the hell is happening?
How are there more?
How?
And I'm so happy. Like, I'm actually happy. Look at Elaine did something so good.
Yeah. And Matt does know that there's imperfections, but he's like, I don't care as long as this function of it still works.
And,
like we're good.
And luckily,
this function still works.
This function.
We had no way to test that this function worked beforehand. That's a very important point.
We didn't know.
No.
Because they're the replicas.
Yeah, like who knows if it actually would work on the golem.
I wonder if he put a replica on the Ashendari. How do I say it? I don't know.
Ashendari, yeah. It doesn't seem like he did. It seems like that was the OG. That
was the OG, just in case. Mm-hmm. And then the others were like backups.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have been smart.
What if he put it on there just to do a test?
Yeah. I would simply cover myself in medallions.
Make it armor.
Exactly.
Armor of the medallions.
Yeah, it's great.
Did anybody ever say that on Theoryland? Armor.
No, because that's a bad
medallion.
Just like chainmail, but it's just medallions.
Yeah.
Right.
And then just throw yourself, hug the golem to death.
Love it.
There you go.
It.
Now we're on the same page. We got it.
Okay. Can I keep us on track
Please
now?
do. Yes.
Okay. So now the golem is kind of pissed off and he takes off into the burning building because now the building's like on fire from what we can tell because there's no like fire department. There's no bucket brigade going on.
No bucket brigade.
Made out of freaking straw over here.
Where's the bucket brigade?
Okay. So the golem takes off into the burning building. Matt chases after it. And that's when we get the cinematic sequence. Talmanis, we missed it actually. Matt gave a look to Talmanis and then Talmanis was like head nod, busts into the burning building to go and retrieve the Ashendari. So he did that.
Ooh, because he wanted it back.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, go get it.
Matt needs the Ashendari.
Okay.
So that's why he busts in the building. So then Matt tears into the building. Talmanis has retrieved the Ashendari and does a super cool toss to Matt, who catches it on the run and keeps going.
Super cool.
And they like give each other a head nod and finger guns. It's pretty sweet. It's like a whole thing.
Finger guns is a great addition to this.
I should be a TV writer. I know that.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah.
I've always said that.
Me too. So far, no job offers.
I actually say you very specifically should not.
They're like, Brett, stop suggesting finger guns. Yeah. Nobody wants that. Okay.
Okay, where are we here? Okay. Oh, this is where he's actually gonna yell at the golem in the old tongue.
Yeah,
Like more,
because
like
we get like
even
we get like a
more.
half, we get like a page and a half. Like it's fair amount. More, he cuts off some of the golem's fingers. He's like going full tilt.
Yeah.
The
So whole
golem's kind of
thing.
getting backed up a little bit. Like he's pushing the golem further into the burning building, like down the hallway. So like things are going now good. And Matt thinks that he just has to keep like putting pressure on it to back it up further.
Well, and especially when you get to the end of the chapter and then you reread this sequence,
Yeah.
and you actually know what the plan is. Because
Yes.
when you first initially read this,
You're like, what are we doing?
You don't know what's going to happen after or at the end of this chapter. It feels very impromptu. It feels very like, what's going on? We're just sort of going with it. We don't know one way or another. Even Matt doesn't know one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
However, we know now that there's a very distinct plan, which is why the moment that we like bust into this room,
that's when it's like, okay, because there's like a couple of tidbits, like there's hints as we're getting down the hallway and to the door frame. There's some hints that are like, okay, this is part of the plan, because he is shouting like the honor of my blade for Tylan, for Nelisian.
Oh yeah, that's
for the fallen. That's all that stuff. But there's the door frame, and we get the description of a darkened room with a white door, like a white floor, a bone white floor, which is like different than the rest of the building. And you're like, okay, it is good. Different. Yeah. And like, why is it pitch black when it's like a burning building? Basically, that doesn't.
It's just, I wish that I wasn't skimming so much, because I miss all those little details.
I like that you said skimming, because we're in the skimming area. Skimming. Boom.
Well, I mean, it said it nearly stepped off the edge of a platform hanging above an expansive void.
Yeah. Yep. So that's the thing. So we back it through the doorway.
I think into the void. I think it's. I know you wanted it to be something else. I think it's pretty.
No, it's totally adept. Like I do like it now. There are some other chapter titles in this book that I think could be changed, and I don't like, and I voice that out loud. However, this one is good.
Yeah.
And I always love when I haven't predicted something right. Like that's my favorite thing in books, when I can't predict what's going to happen.
Yep.
That's when I love it. Like this chapter is a contender for like my favorite chapter this book so far. I just love when I can't predict what's going to happen next and I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my whole life for the last almost 6 years has been trying to predict things and looking for patterns and figuring things out. And so when I can't and I didn't see something coming, I love it.
And can I say that happened in the chapter that started with the Theoryland as the beginning, which is a site dedicated to predicting and theorizing about things that we may or may not think are happening. Yeah. And none of us saw this one coming.
I love it.
I think it's great that it started there.
I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. The other little telltale sign that there's something happening here is that so the golem goes into the darkened room onto the floor and it like looks down at the ground, because like it does seem kind of weird. But then Matt takes a deep breath before jumping through the gateway. And it's like, you didn't hesitate to run into the burning building, but you're stopping for a breath before you go into this doorway. It's because he's going into like a power thing, and gateway. Matt doesn't like the power. Doesn't like anything to do with the power. So then he like takes the breath, pumps himself up to jump into the skimming area.
It's psychological.
Yeah.
And then also he internalizes it as physiological, because he's like
I have to imagine he's not afraid to leap through the doorway to fight a freaking golem. He's like a little nervous, a little apprehensive about the power stuff.
Is the power.
Yeah. So then the golem almost steps off the edge of the skimming platform that we know is here now, and it's hanging above the void. So that's always great.
No railings.
Yeah, no railings. And I mean, like,
that's always been my main critique of this skimming platform.
I know, like,
you can make it whatever you want.
From what it sounds like, you can do anything.
Just put some railings.
You could even have harnesses, allegedly. Like, I would have to assume.
Bungee
Chairs
jumping.
With seatbelts.
Like, I get we're not doing that for the golem, but like,
just in general.
Like bungee.
Yeah.
Even that.
The time when like Rand brings all the Aiel.
So many of them, and a couple of them fall.
Yeah, I think it was like one, but like
no, that was in Fires of Heaven. It was a big deal. It was
I
when
thought
we
it-
were going to Camelin.
I think it was one.
One fell.
Yeah,
And I was like, and I didn't realize even what that meant until you made me realize how important falling into the void is.
Don't do it.
And I think
it's not recommended.
It was this setup for this chapter.
A little bit.
How many books later?
Yeah. But I mean, that's the big
awesome.
thing. So
no.
Yeah. And I love this little
I was like, you could have put railings around.
You could have.
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, back to it. There's not a lot of people here.
No,
there's
no
Matt,
railings. No, none.
There's Matt, there's the Golem, there's Sumiko. So the plan comes together because Matt can see now the glowing light from the edge of the gateway on this side of the door frame that's been like lined up with the door in the burning building.
Perfect.
It's perfect.
Good.
And then Matt says, I don't know if you can die, but I hope you can't. Yeah. And then like Sparta kicks it off the platform into the darkness,
into the void,
and then spits after it. I love it. It's great.
I love that he started the chapter with playing a game called Karanko's Spit, and then he spit afterwards.
I didn't even pick that up. That's great. Maybe there's got to be something here. What's Karanko? Yeah.
Or I mean, like maybe that's how you like when you win. I don't know.
When you win, you spit.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That would be so cool. You win and you spit, and Matt won and he spits. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty savage. Like this is quite the victory.
So good. And it's not until he steps back and explains what's going on that I'm like, oh,
it was
skimming platform. Because I absolutely had no idea what was happening. Yeah. I had no clue. I was like, he clearly won, and that's great, and I'm really excited. But like, oh,
yeah. So in the skimming area, we've got the endless nothingness and darkness.
Yep.
And if you fall, allegedly, you're falling forever.
Yeah. Allegedly,
and that's like about as much information as we actually have.
Yep, which is why we should have railings.
Mm-hmm.
Usually when we skim.
So there was speculation when that one Aiel fell off the skimming platform is like hopefully your heart stops from like the fear of falling forever or whatever. Can't breathe. I don't know. Like I don't know how that will work.
Shock.
Like how long do you actually fall? But Matt, do you think that the golem is still falling today?
Again, these were some of these kind of areas where there's some theories, but I want to say there are some interview questions asked about this.
Ooh, that would be cool to know.
So, but I did not look them up prior to this.
That's okay. So, yeah, I can look them up, and we can do like a little thing for next episode.
Yeah.
We can definitely do a little bit more research, but we can't.
And if you're a first time reader like me, don't look up research.
Oh my
questions.
gosh.
Yes.
I'll do it for you.
Let Brett and Matt do it for you. Yep.
That's true. Yeah. Don't go to the interview search engine and start.
Don't do it.
Someday we'll talk about kind of like
you've probably read some bad predictions.
the skimming space theories around what the skimming space is,
right?
Because I don't want to affect.
I know. Don't
your
do
theorizing.
It.
I don't want to. I sometimes go like, oh, I want to share X, but I did send you, Brett, by the way. This is a paraphrased answer. So can you read that and make sure you feel like it's
allowed?
It's allowed.
Yeah.
I just gotta verify before.
Oh my gosh! You know what? You're the most careful guest we've ever had. I promise. Like we've had lots of very careful guests who have so respectful, but
you're
by far
you're 1.5 books away. Like
if you write this now,
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to paraphrase this just a little bit more here, just because it's actually an important question too. And I was going to at some point hopefully bring this up today. So we know that Shadowspawn now, because it took a long time to figure this out, Shadowspawn can't pass through gateways. That's why death gates work.
Why we call them death gates.
That's why they work.
Shove them
so
through and
Trollocs can't do it, but clearly passing through a gateway, even if it's a skimming portal, the golem can. So that's not an issue. So there was a question.
Ooh, because it made it through the gateway.
It made it through the gateway. It didn't die.
The portal and didn't die. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good point.
So
yes, good point.
One of the fans at a interview in Paris in 2010 asked, we discussed the golem. If someone had pushed it through a gateway, would it have just died? because
Right. Yeah.
shadow
Because
spawn.
what's the difference between a gateway and a skimming gateway? I don't actually even know.
Functionally nothing. It's a gateway.
Okay.
How you get there is different. I know he's saying no, but it's like for intents and purposes at this point right now, they're functionally it's the same enough that that's not the issue. This is not, from what we know, that's not the issue. Not the issue. And Brandon Sanderson answered, Golem can go through the gateways from like one place to another.
Okay. Yeah. Straight from Sando. Okay.
They are a more perfected kind. It would have been too easy to just kill a Golem if you just have to push it through a gateway.
Fair.
Right. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to read the rest of that.
Okay.
But also, I could also maybe make an opinion or comment that maybe even Golem aren't affected by gateways the same way because they are, in a sense, immune to the power. Like the power doesn't affect Golem.
But you can blast the Trollocs with fire arrows from your fingers. Yeah, right? I get it.
Like there's some of that going on too, I would have to imagine. But
can you blast a Golem with fire arrows from your fingers, or is that the power?
That's the power.
Okay.
That's why the whole indirect effect thing. Could you launch 1,000 physical arrows using air at the Golem?
Yeah, but that wouldn't kill it because it's all like slimy and stuff.
It's just
anyway.
an ooze ball.
Yeah. Gross.
Anyways.
Interesting.
It is interesting. Almost like you would want to theorize more on this and maybe create a website.
Yeah.
Maybe talk to other people about this.
Yeah. It's almost like this type of stuff might cause you to do crazy stuff like that.
Just crazy stuff.
Okay. So we should finish this chapter off because we are so close to the end here.
All right. We have some lady.
Sumiko.
Yeah. So we have Sumiko who walks up beside Matt.
She's like the new eldest of the kinswomen right now.
She is the new eldest. Okay, so let me think about what I already know about Sumiko without going to my notes.
Sure.
Really good at healing.
Okay.
Mean to Nynaeve.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, eldest, the newest eldest of the kinswomen.
Of the kids.
Yeah, it's basically
because did Alice die? What happened to Alice?
Alice wasn't the eldest. So Alice is like the hard ass lady. And are you convincing? She was a hard ass. I don't think she was the eldest.
She also didn't like Nynaeve.
Yeah, but no
one likes Nynaeve.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay. Anyways, not really important at this point either. So Sumiko is inside. She was like hiding off to the side.
I remember specifically, like she was good at healing.
Yeah, and she's off to the side because she has to physically be present for the platform to stick around because of skimming.
Okay.
So she's inside the gateway, and then Matt's like, "Hey, thanks for the gateway," and then there's like a back and forth. And she's like, "Oh, you should have let the kinswoman handle this."
Yes.
It's like, no, no,
we shouldn't have. Actually, this was better.
Yeah. Would you prefer Matt? Would you prefer Matt or the kinswomen handling this? It's like,
yeah, this
we're gonna end up with a bunch of dead kinswomen.
Well, I mean, and considering Matt's luck, right? I would.
Well, they don't really know. They can't consider.
They can't quantify luck. Like, how do you? What's the? I
know Matt at least. I trust. I would trust. I trust the wheel and Matt's luck.
You're like wheel weaves, bro.
Yeah,
wheel weaves.
That's what happens. I think this is funny because we have the kinswomen who so revered in past tense.
Oh yeah,
the Aes Sedai.
Yeah,
and like wanted to be, and now we have them acting just like them.
That's true too.
Should have let us handle this.
Yeah. Okay.
We are much better than everybody else at everything, and you should have just left this to us.
Just because you said that, I have to also say this thought I just had. Everybody who used to revere the Aes Sedai, who has then met Aes Sedai, no longer reveres Aes Sedai like the wise ones.
Oh yeah, the wise ones.
Kinswomen. Yeah. It's like literally anyone.
Probably the sea folk too.
Probably the sea folk.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's like, have you met them?
That's the thing. They kind of suck.
Well, I do like that about how Jordan wrote that.
Yeah. Yes.
Like,
okay.
Why would that be the case? Why would people, after they meet them, feel differently?
So weird.
Crazy.
Okay. So we're going to get Talmanis.
Yeah. So we leave. We leave the skimming.
We're
out.
A kind of wrap up on this whole situation. Matt gets the extra medallions.
Yes. Talmanis gives the 2 extra medallions back.
Oh, to Talmanis.
Yeah. No, because I think he dropped them.
What?
Yeah, I think at some point, like, he dropped them.
What are my notes even saying over here?
Because he shoved the medallions into the golem's like hands to burn it.
Oh yeah.
And I think he dropped them.
Okay.
And then he chased after and then grabbed the spear, and Talmanis went and retrieved
Okay,
the two.
so Talmanis has them and gives them back
Gives
to
them
Matt.
back to Matt.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I have a thing to say because I do remember a prediction that I had that I unfortunately got very wrong.
Okay.
So I didn't know exactly how the golem was going to die, but I predicted that it would destroy the Foxhead medallion.
You did, and I really liked that.
So it would be like a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It'd be like we destroy the golem, somehow we kill it.
Yeah.
But then the medallion ceases to be
like
whatever,
they cancel each other
powerful.
out. They cancel each other out to destroy.
And so I thought the medallion was going to be rendered a molten, useless rock.
Yeah.
At the end of killing the golem, it would be like this reciprocal thing. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And the medallion lives.
And we got duplicates.
It almost feels like too good.
Mm-hmm.
It feels too easy. Like we got out of this.
Only dozens dead.
Only all of those other ones.
Yeah.
But in this fight, easy.
Relatively unscathed.
Relatively.
So that was wrong. That was a wrong prediction.
Yeah. No, I did like that prediction though. I thought that was an interesting one.
Like, what do we even need that dumb medallion for?
Yeah.
Who cares now? That's the only thing we needed it for.
Okay. Again, people can't see your face, but
I'm still just imagining that plate mail or the chainmail.
Actually,
the chainmail with like
it really does protect against the power.
I mean, it's got some
plate mail.
value.
The chainmail is only useful for the golem, and even then, like situationally not.
If you have chainmail made out of teeny tiny medallions,
sure, yeah,
that block the power.
You only need the medallion around your neck touching your skin to block the power affecting you.
Oh, right.
You don't need it covering your entire body.
That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would simply try
to. It decoratively would be really cool.
Here's an idea.
Try me.
How do we chop
the
Foxhead medallion into multiple littler medallions? How much of the medallion do you need for it to be effective? Can we break it up into?
I don't think we can do that.
Can we
Ask
smash
Perrin.
it?
Perrin would know.
Smash it with a hammer or something.
Perrin wouldn't care, but he would know.
Yeah.
Could you do it like a tooth filling with whatever creates it, and so it's just like embedded in your mouth? And
I love it. I love it. That's what we're here for.
We should also do that with the Dream Ring Terangrials.
Also have that. Ever get
it? Just embedded Terangrial.
Just like let me just always have that.
Never have a good sleep again. Joke's on you. I already don't sleep good.
Okay. We end this chapter.
Who does he want to give these medallions to? Because the kinswomen are looking at these like they want them, but they can't.
Of course they do.
So Matt
wants to give... and improved Aes Sedai without oaths.
Matt wants to give the medallions to Oliver and Tuon once he can find her again.
Once he can find her again, and if she ever needs it.
Sure.
And no, I don't think that Tuon needs that. No thanks.
Okay. All right.
That would be the worst because she's in control of Damani, and I hate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But Oliver, sure. Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I hate that for Tuon and Oliver.
Matt's like no.
I like it. I like it for Oliver. I like it for Oliver.
Screw that guy.
I just feel like Oliver would use it.
Ugly.
I feel like Oliver would use it for just
why do we even care about him? He's so
Oliver would use it for like stuff we weren't expecting. Like Oliver would just like, wait, you did what with the medallion? So I think it'd be cool. Yeah, I like.
You're like, oh, I defeated the snakes and foxes. Isn't that what you wanted?
Tuon would use it in a way that we'd all be like, oh, Matt, I can't believe you just gave Tuon something that.
It's true.
That actually makes me like physically ill to think about.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all.
So Oliver,
I just sort of skipped over that.
Oliver, we're good with. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Good.
But I wanted to talk about Captain Guybon.
Yeah.
Who shows up.
Yeah. And he's like, hey, is it done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Matt's like, yeah. And Talmanis is like, and Queen Elaine can pay us for ridding
close enough to get paid
of a murderer.
Yeah. It's so funny because Guybon's like, whoa. You asked for help from her to do this thing. And they're like, yeah, but like technically.
Well, and it turns out in the end, it was Elaine and Brigitta's idea to
like their entire
shove
plan
him through a gateway.
It was the entire plan because the best Matt could come up with like, oh, I don't know, I'll shove the medallion down his
throat.
And it's like, you know what,
that would have worked.
That might work too, but how do you get it in the mouth?
Matt could have done it. If that was the plan, Matt could have done it.
That'd been tough.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was better.
I think this was a better plan.
Yeah, but I like that Elaine and Brigida were part of this, even though like that was the off-page stuff. We didn't see the planning.
I don't need to see the planning because that would have been infuriating to see the planning and then not see
the battle,
the execution of it. That would have been terrible.
Yeah, it's nice to know that it's insinuated that they did meet and they did plan, but we didn't have to sit through a full like 100-page chapter of Elaine
drinking goat's milk and listening to this
and
plan.
berating Matt about being a demi or something. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so he's gonna get paid. Golem, I feel gone.
You feel gone. That's what I was gonna ask.
I feel good.
Okay.
I feel like I shouldn't feel that way.
Not making a return.
We just have so little left.
Yeah.
We needed a win.
We don't have time.
We don't have time for the golem to come back. You know what I mean?
Totally.
At this point.
Totally.
But I like how Matt's like, excitement's over for now.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and then he forgot like his like literal whole plan. The one that I've been waiting for since book 5.
Yeah.
So
like the rescue
of Moraine.
Yeah. That's like 3 days from now, probably. Catch a
if
gateway.
That doesn't happen by the end of this book, if that doesn't happen, and if they don't at least go in.
Yeah. Well, because the picture on the cover of this book is them at the entrance of the Tower.
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, yeah, allegedly.
That's what it looks like. But that's why I'd like to allegedly talk to.
You're like, Daryl K. Sweet. Can we chat?
Can we chat about this cover in particular?
Unsatisfactory so far.
Because none of them have been like super particularly accurate about very important things.
Right.
And this feels like the most important thing that's ever happened in my life. And you're just going to shove it on a book cover? Rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rude. Excitement's over for now. Too bad.
Yeah.
Excitement's over. Nothing else exciting is happening.
That was good. I am excited to read on.
All right. So to wrap up and to set up for next episode, we are doing 1 chapter next episode. We're going to go slow because we got pages to read here.
Okay.
1 chapter.
Good.
Okay. Matt Hatch.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. I'm so happy we were able to get you on for this one.
We got to come to the Dusty Wheel.
I know. It's so fun. Like before you're going to come back to the Dusty Wheel, right?
We're going to come back.
Halfway
and we have been to the Dusty Wheel. So if anybody hasn't seen Brett and I on the Dusty Wheel, Matt, tell everybody where they can find you.
Sure. We'll do that. So we do live call-in talk shows about the Wheel of Time every Wednesday. They're very spoiler-full, so don't watch them all if you haven't finished the books. But
there are some. There's some in the backlog.
There are some in the backlog, but I don't really do a great job of like there's not like a whole like. If you've read up to this point, you can watch this if you've read up to this point. Like you don't know that necessarily until you just start watching.
Unless you have other first-time readers on.
Yeah.
Like the episodes that we've been on, you know exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go watch any of the episodes with these fine people and myself on the Dusty Wheel, then you can watch all of those up until we do a kind of a recap each book, kind of find out how Dani and Brett, what the experience was like and what they felt about the book. And we're like almost to the end, which is so weird. Like,
Crazy.
Before we end, though, I also have to do a special shout out to LightBlindedFool.
Oh,
yeah, because I don't know if you know this, but I am not very organized with my life. But LightBlindedFool has been with us for so long. Fantastic.
One of our mods
listener.
in our Discord.
One of our mods. It's great.
Executive producer.
Anyways, so they were like, "Hey," he said it much nicer than this, but I'm just going to paraphrase. He was like, "Hey, idiot, are you going to have Matt Hatch on for the next episode?" And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's.
You made
and
it.
And then
finally.
I furiously messaged you to be like, I've planned for this.
Please make this work in the January.
Please come on.
Well, I remember writing Dani like, hey, how's the reading going? What chapter are you on?
Yeah. Well, the problem was like we were doing this rush before the holidays so that we could take a little bit of time off because we were doing a big Winnipeg trip. And then I wasn't looking at chapters for when we got back at all. I was like, I checked out for the year.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, LightBlindedFool.
This is good. Yeah. This is our first episode back in the year 2025.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That
first
is
one
awesome.
That's going to be released here.
That was so this is
cut it a little to the wire.
2025. So that's 35 years ever since I picked up. Well, I guess not exactly because I picked up the world.
Pretty close.
Freaking close.
Pretty close.
Yeah, 35 years later, talking about the chapter that I'm
And
in
then
those books, which
I have
is
a
crazy. So
business
thank you for bringing me
proposition
on.
for you, Matt. Well, I want to
Yes.
start an old folks home where only Wheel of Time readers are allowed to be in it. I have an idea. It's just like I'm thinking about it.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's on that.
And there's like each of the wings is like a country or something. And then like
Yes, like I want to be in Terrebonne.
Yeah.
No one said that ever. No one's ever said that.
No, thank you for having me on. It's been really, really fun to go back and revisit these stories. It always is. Again, like I said, all those things to have kind of culminated in this moment as a reader, and to also experience you, Dani, going through this moment. It's so fun when somebody they write and they go, I just got to the Dusty Wheel chapter in like Towers of Midnight, and now I understand.
Now I get
understood
it.
this.
You
They're
only
like,
had
oh,
to read
Innkeeper.
like 14 books. It's fine.
Well, and it's funny because some people will do that and they're like,
Millions of
oh, that's why you did it. Right. And then somebody else will be like, you still don't know. They'll be like, you got to the part where you're like connected Innkeeper Hatch and the Dusty Wheel. And you're like, oh, that was the inspiration for it. And it's a fun rabbit hole for people to go down. And it's always fun to be part of that. Like I said, it's really humbling for this to have happened. Like as a fan of these books. And so it's really fun.
You do a really cool job too. Like you do an excellent job. You're an excellent host. We always love coming by. That's why we keep coming back. And I love your coverage of the show and everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been able to talk to some really cool and really famous people. So I think it's super, super, super well deserved. And I'm happy for you. So.
Well, thank you very much. And by the way, there's so many cool videos for you to watch after you're done.
Oh my god!
So
much.
Like, there's so many cool ones that I have to actually like be there for the moment. Like I just need to be part of like the moment for like, a couple of them. Like there's just stuff that like
we'll get together at like WatCon or something, and like you'll specifically air them for me. Like, that's
I mean, you'll want to do like I think you'll want like people to be there while you like
you'll have to let me know.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Like it's actually foreseeable at this point because I used to joke. I used to pretend that like I could go back and watch your stuff. I was like, when I finish, it felt like never.
But now it's like a year and a bit away.
Yeah.
So
is a memory of like remember that you won't get through it this year. It'll be next year. No. Okay.
No.
No.
I was actually like, maybe by the end of this year.
We just crossed the halfway point of this book.
Yeah, but it's January.
Yeah, we're not finishing this year.
So 2026, that'll be the year. It's gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun year.
Maybe.
So.
No.
Oh, even 2026, it's possible.
Probably.
Okay.
We will.
Well, for letting me come on and having a very long episode and like
telling you for joining us. People love the longer episodes. They always tell us it should be longer.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. And you know what? Before we go ahead and wrap up this chapter from the Dusty Wheel, I'm going to say that this is part of the pattern now.
Yeah, it's part of the pattern.
Say it's part of the pattern.
It's part of the pattern.
Yes. Got it. Hey, thanks so much for sticking around. That's the end of another fun episode. The Wheel Weaves is hosted and edited by Dani and Brett and produced by Dani and Brett with Passion Socks, Cody Fouts, Benjamin, Jamie Young, Megan, Jared Berg, Ricky Morissette, Adam, Mozyme, Michelle Forbes, MKM, Antoine Benoit, Lawrence Bradley, Colby T, Gabby Young, Rycat, Zane Sayaka, Matrix, Matt Truss, The Albatross, and Bratimus Prime. With music by Audionautics. Now, everyone, please be sure to go check out our Patreon page if you are interested in supporting us and the podcast. We'd love to send you some Patreon exclusive merchandise as a thank you, plus you'll gain access to our episodes earlier than everyone else. And at the time of recording, we have almost 50 bonus episodes for your listening pleasure. Find all that and more at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. As always, please be sure to give us a 5-star review because it really does make a huge difference in helping other people find us. And be sure to tell a friend, Riyadh, because referrals really are the best compliment. For general information about our show, like how to send us shot glasses, how to join our Discord, and how to get in touch with us, visit thewheelweavespodcast.com. Thanks again for listening. This really is part of the pattern now.